hung out with the girls. Always hung out with the girls. Always hung out with the girls because they accepted me.
Hello, and welcome to the Fluid Voice. We are back, and I still am Ozma In The Dark, still utilizing she/they pronouns, this time to win at those, those cruel bastards over at Piltover. I'm just making random League of Legends references now. Christy, how are you?
I'm nervous. Larry King, when I was a youth, Larry King said to me, if you're nervous, tell people you're nervous. And I said, okay. And I've done that ever since. And this is the time when I'm nervous to come back. So, hi, I'm still more or less rocking she, her. The more or less is for rocking after the she, her. I'm pretty sedate in that. And yeah, it's been a time.
And tonight we have our special, most recurring guest. How are you doing, R&D?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm Rhetoric and Discourse. They'll use he, him. And I am doing fantastic. I'm glad to see you all. I haven't seen both of you in such a long time. So
yeah,
we're hanging out again.
Yeah, and before we get to our topic tonight about podcasting and polyamory, I want to do, we had all agreed on this beforehand. Well, me, Christy, and Perfict, who may or may not show up. I assume he will show up soon. But Sophia Botha died. In February 17th, I believe. And she had done a lot of good things to help on the show. She had done her best to do activism related stuff. She wasn't perfect, but it sucks that she died still. And anything you want to say, Christy?
No, I I loved her. She was my friend. She was one of the people I count amongst my bestest of friends. I feel, I found out it was the middle of the night. I actually woke up Cyrus, who has been on the show before with, they were friends too. So yeah, I have no idea. I haven't had a place to put that still.
Yeah.
It's, a thing. I wish I was more coherent about this, but I don't deal with lost balls, so.
Grief affects us all at different times, and I realize you just managed to get in perfect, but was there any sort of words you want to say about Sophia? With regards,
I didn't know her as well as everybody else here, but I liked her.
Yeah.
And I appreciated her. She had a way of cutting to the quick of things, which I really, really liked. And I appreciated that in her.
Yeah. And because she liked humor about things, I do want to say one thing for her sake, which is fuck the Tory ass government with the fucking bitch ass Boris Johnson being a fucking bastard and trying to cut the fucking poor trans people out of the fucking conversion therapy prevention bill because trans people don't fucking matter.
You did a good job
To the
of
fucking
channeling.
bastard
Just
who needs
on
to
a
eat a
real,
bag of dicks. I'd forgotten about that.
just on a side, she didn't like Laura Jane Grace, and I went to see Laura Jane Grace like the couple of days after this, after I found out, because I already had tickets, and that was the thing I was gonna do to get out of the house fun, and but there were two songs she really liked. And I thought, okay, well, Laura Jane didn't play them last time. There's no worry about hearing them right now because they would make me very sad. And Laura Jane played them back to back. Like, of all things. So I started crying while standing there. It was kind of.
Yeah, and I agree with Emily. Sophia was an important part of Fluid Voice and Queer on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
Perfect. I assume you're still using he/him pronouns. You got in late, so
Yeah, that's.
perfect.
Yes, I'm using he/him pronouns still. And I was trying to get my new fancy icon to work right.
Yeah. Which it I was gonna be like, it looks wonderful. I drew it.
Yes, well, thank you very much for it. It is perfect.
You're welcome. So let's get on to the subject. I mean, honestly, podcasting was added on as a silly tag thing because this show should be up on podcasting stuff soon, as well as on YouTube. So, but I guess let's start off on polyamory. What are your thoughts about polyamory R&D? Let's start with our guest. Since we've already been talking a bunch, why not let you talk?
So I'm guessing I'm the token poly person in the room.
Well, not technically, but okay, because I mean, technically I am too, but like.
No, I love it. It's great. It's been a very long journey to coming out because I only came out almost 2 years ago, so I haven't. It's always like being probably something that you just are, but like actually realizing what it is has been an interesting journey, mostly because society pushed me a lot to not come out. It was which I'm sure is something that a lot of the people here probably experience or have experienced or will, which is that you know what you are, but you just find a lot of people just push you not to be that way, and it's something that's wrong with you and you got to fix rather than something you can just kind of be. But I love being poly. I have a really great partner right now, and it's nice and easy, and it's really good stuff.
This is good. It's something that I tried. It didn't work out great.
Yeah.
I figured I might be polyamorous because I don't feel jealousy. It's not a thing I get.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, but you can be polyamorous and feel jealous. Like those things aren't necessarily mutually exclusive. No. Like it.
Yeah. It is a different kind of. It's just a different kind of jealous. It's a weird, like, not weird. I shouldn't say it. It's more like I wish that was me. Less of a like I can't believe that they're doing this to me.
Well, I mean, I'm embarrassingly monogamous, and I mean that I'm. But they're not feeling. I still live with my ex-wife and her fiance. Both of whom I've dated.
So this is sounding more and more like Perfict is the token monogamous person in this.
No, all right.
Perfect.
No, it's that there's jealousy of time and jealousy of commitment, and then there's jealousy of possession. And yeah, jealousy of possession is not an alien concept to me, but not something that I let myself do freely with people. You don't own people. It's not right to, and I'm leery of doing that with pets too. I mean, you don't own them that way. That's not appropriate to be that kind of jealous with them. You know, you can be jealous of your pen and pencil set. You know, don't let other people use it. You like, you know, people can be jealous of their tools. They don't like other people to use them, and so on.
Yeah, or your fancy pen. Not
right,
you
like
specifically,
I said,
but like,
yeah.
like, let's say someone gave you a nice pen, hypothetically, and you were dating that person, and so the pen is special to you for several reasons, and not this pen. This pen isn't like the super special one. Anyways, that's another story. But yes,
I think
that's
the way that I've had the. Sorry, that's the way that I've had like jealousy described to me. A lot of like the jealousy that monogamous people feel is like that possessive, when that like when they talk to me, they're like it's your pen, it's your person. Why would you let someone else use it? It's like that's a weird way to phrase all of those things.
Well, I mean, I think to some degree, because like I don't want to. Like, because everyone is different, and I think some people don't want to deal with any of the types of jealousy, or for whatever reason emotionally they're prioritizing their emotional feelings. If everyone consents, it's good. It's the problem is when stuff is forced upon you or doesn't consent. Like if you're polyamorous and your partner is like, "Oh, it's cool. I'm cool with trying out polyamory," and then immediately becomes like hardcore. Not immediately, but like starts going hardcore towards talking about the importance of monogamy, and just sort of was like, "Oh yeah, I wanted to try it out with you, but like, or the one way." I mean, there are obviously abusive relationships where it's like one way polyamory. Well, I can be polyamorous, but you can't, and it's like, no,
Well,
that's not how that works.
The first Mrs. Abbey and I had an open relationship, which is not polyamory as such. But it didn't work really well for us. But on the not feeling jealousy thing, that's also something she didn't feel. So it's she helped plan my wedding to Lori, in fact. They both planned it together. That's a thing.
Yeah.
So, and Lori's not jealous either, so that's kind of like
yeah, it's monogamy is weird. It's weird for my brain to process. So I'm just like, God, I hope Perfict has better ways of processing it, because I'm just like, yeah, no, like why is that a problem? And you can end up with more of a community.
Yeah,
And-
people who want monogamy, it's a matter of they view the idea of bonding with the other person, that person and them have become one. And so if they are then sleeping with somebody else, it's like you are sleeping with somebody else and using my body to do it.
Ew.
Huh.
Oh, that's a take I haven't heard before.
Yeah, sorry for the outburst on my. I was like, ew.
Interesting. Yeah, I think I'm aware of.
But once again,
some
it
of
gets
the
into there's
aspects
a
of
little
that,
space
yeah.
in their head where they've managed to insert the idea that somehow they're entitled to ownership of that other person.
No.
And I'm like, that's icky as a thought that you own somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I try to go into the kind of the community thing. Ozma brought up one of my current partner and I. One of the realizations we just came to, like literally Friday, was like both of us live like with roommates and have more of like a communal lifestyle where like I live with my roommate and we do things together. Like we go out together, we sit around and watch movies together, we eat dinners together. Like we have a nice community, and same with her household, where like she lives with an ex-boyfriend, she lives with like just roommates, and they do stuff together, and it's a really cool way to live. But a lot of like when I talk to other people with like roommates and stuff, it's a lot of like that, no, I need my own thing, I need my own space, and like that community thing doesn't really. It makes me think it might be more of a poly thing to be like, yeah, communal shit. Let's just live together and hang out.
And I appreciate that community aspect that occurred in the place I used to live with my former roommates, because it was more like that, and it was upsetting to some degree to lose that, because they were monogamous, and so they went more towards that attitude of like wanting their own separate space more so. And it's I cannot relate to that at all. Like I had to emotionally adjust to being stuck alone.
Yeah, it's definitely very odd. Even in my last long-term monogamous relationship, we still had look, we had the bedroom that we shared, and like whatever, that was our bedroom, but we also each had our own like rooms in the house that were like our rooms. Like, you could do whatever you wanted in your room, decorate it however you want, and neither of us could do anything about it. And so we did have our own kind of separate spaces and communal spaces, which was nice. But I do kind of even the setup that I have now, where I have my own little space, but I also, the rest of the house is just communal space, and you hang out, and if you're out there, you're doing something together.
Yeah, really. I mean, we had Sai doesn't live here anymore, but is here most of the time. Is here right now, in fact. But we have it's me, Lori and Ty, and our queer rescue. We always keep a queer rescue here because we have the room. And that's a thing. Before I met Lori, I owned a house, and I made it a communal space. I mean, there were 6 at any given time, but there were 12 people who lived there total, including the first Mrs. Abbey after we'd broken up, and including Ty. I knew him before Lori, so and it's I prefer that kind of situation. I've tried living alone finally in my early 50s, and didn't work out. I didn't like it at all. It made me quite unhappy.
Wrote something decent, which is wedding vows often have "who gives this woman to this man" is still big in wedding vows. Still, the chattel idea is still big, which is weird. That's weird. That's just completely weird to me. Although at the moment I'm now struggling to stop fantasizing about living in a more communal type space now. Like you could just have more cuddles. Everything could be more cuddles. Anyways,
yeah.
Yeah, it is. So how much because obviously I don't want to disregard monogamy completely as because that is someone's identity and how they feel, and I don't feel comfortable trying to impose it as a completely societal thing, the idea of monogamy.
I mean, as far as one of the things people don't even understand that I remain friends or close to exes constantly. I posted a picture on Twitter today of me and 83 with a whole bunch of people. And out of the people in that picture, I thought after I posted it that, oh, I dated 4 of the people there, 3 women and 1 man. And it's, long term with 2 of them.
Yeah, I mean,
but so serial monogamy, but no regrets when it's over. Mm-hmm. Depending on how it is, maybe a bit of pissed off for a little bit, but not always.
Yeah, there's definitely, I think, probably levels of monogamy, and you're right. We've kind of been dissing on monogamy. I have a tendency to do that, but probably because I'm newer to poly, so I'm like still in that like this is brand new, so I'm gonna be a jerk about it. And there's also it's like when you come out, you're just angry. You're like, God, I can't believe I did that for so many years. Why would people let me do that? So, but like but at the same time, it's who you are. So not to diss on anybody for who they are.
Yeah.
However, I have heard a lot of the struggles that I've had in being poly has not been from like other polyamorous people. It's always from monogamy. It's like which kind of just ends up tainting like not something that we should do, but your brain does what it does, is that you've got experiences with a group, and so now everybody in that group is kind of gives you a bit of this is something that I'm trying to get over. It's definitely still there for me right now, where monogamy just makes me feel icky at the moment.
Yeah. Which, I mean, fair, especially when there's still, along with some of the, in my mind, a lot of, LGBTQI plus type community stuff has always been about people who or always supposed to be, at the very least, about people who aren't accepted in society for existing and being different and not actually harming other people.
Oh my. A lot of people who want to express their... Oh, sorry, I'm interrupting.
No, go on.
Oh, a lot of people who want to express that they're being accepting will tell people who are polyamorous, it's okay if you want to do that sort of thing. You just don't make it public.
Yeah.
And you go,
Yeah.
wow, okay, well, you are several steps on the right side of that line. But
Don't make it public. That's like
Yeah.
that is just classic anti-LGBTQ dialogue.
that's why it just struck such a chord in my head when I was like, I know that one thing that comes up. It's the same line. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it really is. Every time.
I'm remembering something when when Laurie and I did bring in another person. I told my mom, and she like freaked out, and one of her things was, "But that's illegal." It's like, wait a second.
Oh no!
I dated Lee for years. That was illegal at the time. Two guys dating. You didn't have a problem with that. And
Yeah, I hate it when I hate the it's illegal argument, because laws and morality do not always agree. Segregation was a law in there are still people alive today that lived through segregation. Like, it's not it's not as far it's not as long ago as people like to pretend it is. They're like, oh, it happened in the past, so it's like way in the past. It's like, no, people are alive today who lived through segregation. People are alive today who were born before the oh wow, my brain, I'm trying to think of
Interwebs?
legal. I mean, aside from gay marriage, which most people have been, a lot of people who are adults now have been born, were born before that. But no, I'm the Disability Rights Act, which is still not enforced, that got passed in like 1993. Like, there's so many laws to do with human rights that just have not been around that long, and it's just, who cares if it was illegal? That shouldn't be the concern. The concern should be the ethics of it.
I was born 1 month after the implementation of the Civil Rights Act. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah.
There you go. One of the things is that monogamy is frequently enforced by religion. And interestingly enough, the polytheistic religions tend to be less focused on that.
Well,
and one of the things is the standard idea of a church wedding. The thing is that there are three entities that get married. There's the bride, the groom, and the church. The church is part of the marriage. That's why people have to have such controlled roles in the marriage, because otherwise there isn't a role for the church, and the church can't be different to every marriage. So the church is what the church is, and then your marriage is built around being married to the church.
When did monogamy become a requirement with marriage? Because I know that wasn't always the thing, because plenty of people in the Bible and the Torah had more than one partner. So like that had to have started in, like, I would assume something
European
like
thing.
1200 AD or something.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that. 800, 1200, somewhere in there.
I have no idea. I'm guessing. Who are you looking it up, Christy?
Yeah, no, I know why it became, so I know when, so I know how to quickly find when.
Ooh.
I just couldn't. Theology degree, remember? I have.
There you go.
It'll be around 420. Dude.
Wait, it was on 420.
Nice.
That was the worst 420 ever. 420 AD was no.
Gay marriage was also legal in the church until then. I'm going with 420 just because it's a few years on either side of that, and I can't really remember. I should know this off the top of my head, but I don't.
Well, and I don't know how quickly things spread to other Christian. Look, I'm not a theology degree. I'm like, I don't know this stuff. You know more than me about this. I'm like, yeah.
Well, there was a ceremony of concubinage at in the church until Augustine.
So
near the end of Augustine.
Emily brought up a slight thing about the ADA, which is the American Disability Act. Was 1993 Section 504, which should have made the ADA redundant, was 73. But yes, neither of those really have much in the way, if anything, in the way of enforcement, so it doesn't actually do a lot. But like, another thing I wanted to mention is I feel like polyamory, in the asexual spectrum, I feel like polyamory is almost a must a lot of the times because people have different needs and people have like, and it's like you have to like finding one person who can you can perfectly emotionally set up, and I don't know, I guess a lot of the people I know in the polyamory community are on the asexual spectrum, and not to say that that's the majority of people, it just happens to be the majority of people I know, and it made me wonder if that was, for the reasons I mentioned, that was part of the reasoning.
I have wondered about this recently because or why the whole I don't feel jealousy and I'm just okay, we're done, all right, let's move on, unless there was a real hurt thing, which happens, and yeah, let's just move on. I think both being autistic and being demisexual, which is an asexual spectrum, may have something to do with that, as far as the way I think about it. So I'm not even a little bit against polyamory. It's just not something, and I've tried it twice, and neither time has it worked.
Yeah, I don't know. R&D, you've spoken with different people in the polyamory community than us. It's what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm not surprised that it's popular in that community. It's also one of the things that I think Emily said something in the chat that's kind of similar, which is like the idea of having somebody be everything for you. That was one thing that, like, in the poly couples that I've, like, relationships that I've been in, has been one of the things that we talk about the most, is like, it's sometimes you just need something else or something different, and that's okay that you're not the person who can do that. or fulfill that, and it has to be someone else. And it just gets again, I hate bashing on monogamy, but it's one of those things that's like having that expectation is on putting that expectation on somebody is a lot. It's a lot of pressure to have somebody be like, you, that person are going to be the one that needs to provide me everything for the next 30 to 50 years.
Well,
Is a lot of pressure.
yeah, and some of that relates to patriarchal values that have been brought down throughout society, that women are supposed to be the sole emotional support, when like you can have a healthy monogamous relationship, but chances are both people need to have a therapist they can talk to for emotional support, because you can't just put that all on one person. It's legit not healthy.
No. And it's something that I do wish more couples in general kind of understood, that it's okay to have a friend who you talk to, or a therapist that you talk to, that's not, you don't go to one person for absolutely like everything or every bad day. You can kind of spread it out, and it's a little bit less of a burden on that person too. Everyone does better that way.
Yeah, because what's emotional labor for one person isn't necessarily emotional labor for another person, and the more spread out it is, the more people can help and have like a net positive of emotions.
Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I've known people who specifically avoided doing things because their partner wouldn't join them in it. And I've known people who specifically chose activities that their partner didn't go with, and their partner did the same. They both intentionally would have things where, no, I want to play bridge because they don't play bridge. So I'll join a bridge club and have a bridge partner. And that's not them, because that way it keeps things fresh and active and so on. I've seen both strategies, and I think I prefer the second as being a strategy for how to make things work, because otherwise I do think it is stultifying to have somebody who is your only source of companionship.
And with that, like, when go for it, Christy.
Sorry about that. Just on the side note, to even think about that, the first time where we like visited my world was very strange for her, because amongst the writers, and I hadn't quite realized how strange it would be. And she basically at one point she tapped me and whispered in my ear, "Is that famous author's name?" I went, "Yeah, you want to meet him? It's really nice." She was like, "You know him?" I'm like, "Yes, you know, I know these people." But I had never considered that we had never really been in that world together before, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one of the big steps for me, like realizing that I was poly is when I was, I guess I'm still married, but when I was still together with my wife, one of the first things that kind of came up to, like, there was a problem or we didn't quite mesh, was that the idea that like I wanted to go do different things, or I want to go do something else. So we have kind of our routine, like this is what we do every Thursday night, and I kept being like, I want to do something different. Like, I don't always want to do this thing. And if you want to do it, if you want to go out and do Thursday night stuff, you go for it. I don't want to stop you. You don't have to go with me. But she wouldn't. And so it became like, that's one of the things that, if nothing else, like it's good communication for even a monogamous couple to have those conversations. But I was never told that you could have those conversations about like, this, I want to do something without you, or I want to do something that you don't want to do, and we need to talk about it. we need to sit down and just have a conversation about the fact that I don't want to go right now. I want to stay and do this, or I want to go somewhere else. And
Well,
as in monogamy, we weren't told that.
Yeah, frequently, even I'm talking about monogamous relationships by and large, the people that I've known. That's a big part of why they wanted to do things that didn't involve the other person. I knew a guy who took up golf. He didn't have any particular interest in golf, but she had no interest in golf.
Mm-hmm.
So he started doing golf because then he has something to talk to her about besides what he did for a living.
Yeah.
If you do everything together, there's nothing left to talk about.
Well, yeah, but I mean that in itself depends very much in terms of relationships, in terms of what you enjoy. Because like everybody's different, and the important thing is like everybody communicates. Like, if for instance you don't care, you're in a relationship where neither party cares too much about as much about the conversation end as they do about like physical contact, then it almost doesn't matter always necessarily. Although obviously everyone's their own person, everyone needs to walk away from things sometimes, or do their own thing, or just take care of themselves. Like, you can't be sewn together. I mean, if you find the right illegal person to sew you together, I suppose you can technically be sewn together, but I don't advise it.
Mm-hmm.
Just to be clear, the one rule I do have is I would never go someplace or be a part of something that the other person was not allowed to be a part of or there. That is a hard and fast rule. Other than that, you know.
Oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. To some degree. I mean, everyone has their own rules. Like,
Yeah.
and you obviously you wouldn't want to support racist businesses, but I mean, relationships are complicated, and there's a surprisingly people are very similar and predictable in some ways, and very different and unpredictable in other ways.
Well, it's one of those. Well, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go to the lodge, Wilma. You know, they don't allow girls there. No, I will not. I would not ever have done that to anybody. That's part of what finally took me out of religion.
Yeah.
Oh, Prim appreciates the new owl.
It is very handsome. It's very handsome. Good job.
You're welcome, everybody. I'm just going to
Prim.
constantly take credit for drawing it. I mean, I
With the
did draw it, so like technically, but like so I have a question for everyone. That is, why is polygamy illegal? Like, it's why. Just why? It's just tons
because of dynasty.
why.
Because
of dynasty. In America, we don't want. We're against dynasties being set up, but we want people. We don't want, when one partner in a marriage dies, that they can leave their partner destitute. So we arranged that they can inherit free of charge without any inheritance, because we want to impose heavy inheritance taxes, because otherwise you end up with a dynasty where somebody amasses a great deal of wealth and then passes it on to their children, and they keep amassing wealth. The problem is that if you have polygamy, that a person can marry a person younger than them, then they die. You understand that if you have lots of people in a marriage, the marriage becomes a group of people who are a consortium, And when they die, the consortium still lives. And so do the assets. And their assets would just get folded into the rest of the consortium as they were part of the marriage. And then they accrue new members. And the only way someone could compete with that sort of dynamic entity would be to become part of one. So you just have competing dynasties that you'd be trying to marry into.
Yeah, but I mean, isn't that already the case even with monogamy? Like,
Yes. You hit on the.
I could see that being like the original reason, but I don't think it worked out.
We really were. We were going to have to work on this and work this out, but it won't take too long, and we'll just leave that for our children to do, and then never went back to it.
It's
okay. And kept going.
We do still have dynasties.
Marriage is a partnership, not a corporation.
The biggest problem was that marriage.
It's still possible in a polygamy to do it, but in a monogamy to do it, you could have one person marry a person who's older person dies, then that person marries somebody who's younger, and you can keep the marriage can be a continuous flow all through history.
Yeah,
but it's really hard to work out, and it isn't a dynasty in the same way. Nobody's competing for being the next person.
The biggest polygamy itself as such was not illegal until 1700s. We're just talking about in the Christian West, because marriage was divided between whether they were for inheritance or for love. Those were two separate concepts. And this is way I just realized that even to start this is getting really heavily into the weeds. It's going to get very heavily into the weeds before I'm done, and I will be 11:30 in the Eastern.
So basically, polygamy is complicated and a nightmare to deal with in terms of legality and other stuff. To be honest, who wants to love for polyamorous relationships, just not the polygamous marriage? Yeah, I mean, like, ultimately, well, I mean, technically, you can still get a polygamous marriage, just not a legal marriage. But like, it just isn't recognized under the law. Technically, you can get any sort of marriage ceremony.
Well, the collection of you can all sign a prenup agreement. Basically, you can make a partnership agreement where you become a economic entity. There's nothing precluding that.
Yeah,
and draw books about bears.
But yeah, I mean, to be fair, like, I never paid too much attention to marriage anyway. So like, I'm just, my attitude towards relationships is just falling into whatever works and makes everyone happier.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a fine thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I think there's probably also, and I don't know the history, but I'm sure at this point there's probably also, like so many things, either traditional or religious reason why people would disallow them. Because nuclear family can't have that, can ruin that. With polygamy or polyamory, even though I've seen plenty of good families that do well by having that kind of communal setting where multiple families live in one household and share the burden of living together, and they do fantastic together because you have 3-4 people that can babysit at any one time, and people who can cook and clean and fix and make money and all that jazz. Multiple people doing it.
Yeah, and ultimately it's about what everybody wants, and like it only becomes a problem when people are shamed for it. And you shouldn't be shamed for that. Obviously.
No, you really shouldn't.
It's no. I mean, do what you want. You're not hurting anybody. You're cool. What's the point of telling people what they can and cannot do? Not like I don't get a lot of that.
Prim mentioned an attorney once advising not to get married unless they're like the couple was trying to get children. Well, he seemed like sound advice. I have no idea. I'm like, I have no. That might be completely true. I mean, if an attorney says it, there's probably some legal, financial thing to do it. I don't know anything. I don't know anything about anything. No.
Yeah, I was say with what Emily said. Yeah, marriage is really about inheritance a lot of the time, and being able to fund things. That's not the only reason people get married, obviously, but it is very important to that to be able to have those like laws that says this person gets my money or this person gets my debt, whichever it may be, or this person gets allowed in the hospital with me, or this person is responsible for taking care of my medical bills after.
And then, the simple solution, which is to move towards socialism. Oh, I just geared the entire conversation towards socialism. With
Are we? Well, we're heading up towards 9. Are we going to? We discussed the new format and agreed on it. I've completely blanked on what it is.
But
and you're right, socialism would just fix all this if you didn't have to worry about your face for what.
Well,
you wouldn't have to get married.
A lot of the reason inheritance is a complicated thing, which is weird. Like, if you think about it, because that means it's just why. But that's back to polyamory. I shouldn't have completely.
I don't disagree with it, that entirely derails everything, because like it's a lot of the reasons that we do these things is for weird social reasons, and the lack of a the fact that the system is the way that it is encourages marriage more than it encourages polyamory. One of the fun things that I've seen like on TikTok is people being like, at this point in the economy, you probably need a polyfill just to make it through the week, to have multiple paychecks going at the same time. Like,
yeah.
So I wouldn't be surprised if it became like a thing that more people were willing to accept, because they're not wrong. Like, at this point, it is nice to have multiple paychecks in one household and the housework divided around people. Like, that communal, people are becoming more and more communal, and I could see it becoming more of an acceptable thing to do, because people live in communities and not households.
Yeah, and all of
One of the things.
I love communal living, so that's the thing.
Yeah, communal living is great. It really is.
I don't know if this was
People should
covered
do it.
before I got here or anything, but the idea that polyamory is not libidinous sex. It isn't just. It doesn't always even include you're an open relationship or anything like that. There are people who do polyamorous relationships where no, you don't. It's all within the committed relationship. Is all the sex aspect is all entirely within that committed relationship. It's just there's multiple people involved.
there's definitely more than one flavor of polyamory, and that's very common. I think people like to focus on the sex thing because they want to focus on the, like, you're being a degenerate or whatever thing. So I usually, when people don't like that I'm polyamorous, that's usually the thing that I get is, oh, you're just doing it for the sex, or this is just so you can have, wild orgies or whatever. And it's like, no, not
Yeah.
not it. That's not it at all. But, like, even if it was it, what's the problem with that? Like,
Well,
Apparently, as someone has lived as a celibate person for the last 4 years, I'm doing the whole trans thing for sex too.
yeah, well,
There you
I
go.
mean, like I had, so like, one of my friends, it's just like there's a lot of different polyamorous relationships, and like a lot with the asexual, maybe demi-romantic or gray aromantic or whatever type stuff. Like, you can have stuff where you can sleep in separate beds, and then like some nights you might want like cuddle in bed, and some nights you might not want to cuddle in bed, and some nights you might feel like sex, and some nights you might not be interested in it, and like people can sleep in different beds, and it's like it can be a complicated thing without a lot of sex actually happening, but with a lot of the community aspects and the just stuff like hand holding or cuddling. Like, sometimes people, like, if they're in a queer platonic relationship, they just want to hold each other's hands and just be close to each other or whatnot, and like they know their partner is like, I mean, if they're monogamous and their partner is interested in more than just a queer platonic relationship, but they both love each other very much in their own way, then it's just there's a lot of situations where monogamy just doesn't work, and it's not about sex. It's about just people find stuff that they can communicate, that they can actually work with.
yeah. Monogamous marriages are definitely a, like, one size fits all solution that doesn't fit. Like, one size fits all solutions tend to be.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well only consider sex, heterosexual sex only counts as sex type thing, or only sex if one of the people has a penis or something.
Yeah.
And like, no, that's not how that works.
Wait, who, somebody had wait, but then who bought the chandelier?
Yeah, it's just most marriages, most people, their envisionment and the traditional values of the society that they grew up in and so on, of what a marriage is very static and confined. And it's not just, it's, two participants or a man and a woman. There's the roles and responsibilities are very clear cut, and, you can't cook, you have a penis. And
well, no, you can if it's on a grill.
Yeah.
yes, outdoors.
That's the only time in which it's okay for someone with a penis to cook.
Outdoor storage legal.
Just don't grill your penis. That would be bad.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry, Perfect. You can
I think we can take that.
You're
as a
right,
given.
Perfect. Yes. It all comes with it's all got a lot of baggage attached to it. It's not just your gender identity or your sexual preference or whatever. It's so many things, and it's all attached to, like, this is how it should be, And polyamory is one of those things that doesn't fit into that should be, and so people are just like, "Oh, that's weird. We gotta shame it because it doesn't fit into the thing that it should be."
And people who there is a correct attitude of saying, that somebody who's willing to shake off that model and say, I'm going to do something myself. I'm going to do something that makes more sense to me, is more likely to have shaken off that model and be willing to have hedonist, libidinous sex, and so on. I mean, it's more likely. But it's not, and that follows. It's that people think that follows, and that doesn't follow.
What are you talking about? Aren't all polyamorous people incredibly kinky and with all the kinks, even the ones that contradict each other?
All the kinks.
Yes, all.
I do blame some of the attitude that is in line with that, because the brains tend to. It's a lot easier if you put people in, like, categorize them, and if it's just like, oh, this is atypical and sexual thing, so if someone does one atypical sexual thing, then they must all be in the same category, so they must have all the things.
Yep, that's
everything needs to be a box. Everything's either in the box or outside of the box. Those are the two options. There's nothing else.
Not even. Who owns the box? Now that's a question.
What's in the box?
No. Especially given the general especially given Seven's topic manner.
Dear. The new campaign in Britain to ask all the politicians, can a woman have a penis? My first reaction to that, of course, was you can have as many as you want. No one's stopping. So someone replied to me on that, said, a woman can't have a penis. My reaction was, why? Is there a shortage? Can we get a penis up in here?
That inflation.
At this point, I'm just making fun of them. I give up.
No, not. We don't not need to talk about inflation of penises. Like, this doesn't need to devolve.
We're not gonna go that part of it.
We don't need to go there. We need to breaking news, apparently according to M here, Justin Timberlake owns the box.
Oh, yes, that's right, because he's got a dick in the box.
Oh my! Oh, yeah. I can't believe I didn't catch that joke. I used to listen to that all the time.
Oh, dear.
Of course, those two people own the box. Justin Timberlake and Andy Samberg.
Yeah, he's bringing sex back when he's finished with it.
Yeah, that in itself is a whole nother conversation. But, like,
we're supposed to be on other conversation after
polyamory or podcasting or whatever. Podcasting is the thing that occurs. I didn't actually prep for that. I just was like, we're doing podcast. We're gonna move this to podcasts as well.
You can try, but buckle up. After 9 o'clock, the road gets bumpy.
Yes.
Well, in general, just because I mentioned this on one of the things I went on to promote today. The my interviews and stuff is going to be moving over to this channel, and my channel is turning into a Star Trek channel as of next week, pretty exclusively. Well, not exclusively to Star Trek, but more of a. I have other things I want to talk about besides trans shit. Keep all
But
of
yeah,
that.
polyamory.
You
It's
mean that's not
interesting
your own-
because there
Well, this-
are
I'm
tribes
going
in
off-
Africa which are polyamorous. So it likely wasn't. Although there are also tribes that are monogamous. There are tribes of
Yeah,
people that.
we've got all kinds of traditions.
Yeah. Different cultures have different traditions. It's just monogamy spread like an STD throughout the
Yeah.
That's surprising
That is one
considering that
area
they weren't sleeping around.
America is definitely
That's not fair to
a
call it
melting
an
pot on that
STD.
issue.
That's mean.
Socially transmitted?
Oh, socially transmitted. Sorry,
No, that's
my
podcasting.
bad. My bad. I'm not using proper modern terminology. STI, socially transmitted information. And
There we
but
In my case, Star Trek information on the other show channel.
that also works. But yeah, no, it's I think there is actually one last thing about polyamory that I do want to ask about, because like, so a different front. I know a lot of polyamorous people. Surprisingly number of polyamorous people IRL. Anyways, who I'm not dating. Anyways, so a couple were sort of masking as monogamous for, I think, their children's sake, to not have to deal with societal stigma. I got the and I just didn't. I wanted to know your thoughts because I don't know anything about. I don't have kids. I don't know what to think about this stuff. I'm the least expertisimal. I don't know what word that made up in my brain, and now I sound like word salad.
Keeping things from your
I don't
kids.
know much about kids or raising kids or what the right thing to do with that stuff is.
Yeah.
Because my
keeping stuff-
instinct is it's an odd choice, but
Keeping stuff from your kids is never going to work out well.
Yeah.
There you go. That's
Yeah.
exactly what you never keep that shit a secret. Never, ever, ever. Kids don't care. They're fine with it. Whatever's going on, that's just the world to them.
Yeah.
When they figure out that, they go, wait a minute, nobody else I know has such an arrangement going on. Nobody else has, I don't know, two mommies or any, something that's obvious. They go, that doesn't work. And if that's the case, you just explain those things work out. I mean, that's just, everybody's got their own arrangement. Okay.
The way it is.
That's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like personally, and make this might be a little bit too mean to that couple or whatever, is that hiding it from your children is less about protecting the kids and more about protecting the adults.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. Because I agree with Perfict. I don't think the kids care. I think it's because the adults don't want to have to deal with either the questioning from the kids or the questioning from the kids' parents or school or whatever. So they're protecting themselves.
Yeah,
it's-
I mean, that makes sense. I hadn't put that sort of thought process or whatnot with it. It's
Well, what can really rattle a kid is if they've grown up thinking one thing, like, and then they find out that that was all wrong. They've been fooled by you all their life. And they're 12 now, and it isn't a matter of we're really good friends with our neighbors. This is a polyamorous relationship that's been going on all this time, and they feel betrayed and lied to because they've been socially betrayed and lied to. You did that, and you just
well, yeah, and
I had to make a rule when because of the way I was raised, which was poorly. I had to make certain rules that I had to stick to more than the kid has to stick to. Never lie. I had a real problem with Santa Claus, quite frankly. How to navigate that. So I just wound up not doing it. Never lie. Always say why you've told them to do something after they do it. It graduated from do it now to do it now and tell you after, because that needed to be a thing in case they ran out into traffic. And always be open about who you are. I failed on that a little bit, but I wasn't open with myself at that point anyway. So one of the things that I was told recently by Cy was the one thing I wasn't worried about was coming out in this household. Because you've always understood things like that. And that was like one of the prouder moments I've ever had.
yeah. And yeah, I agree. PSA: don't lie to your kids. They know more than you realize. Their sense at minimum, and I realize that's what you guys were saying as well.
Yeah. I can tell you how to do the Santa Claus thing.
Well,
They want to know about Santa Claus. You talk to them all about Santa Claus. You talk to them about the tradition of it's the middle of the winter, and it's when you find out that you have got enough food to last you for the rest of the winter. It looks like it's good, and that you make sure that your neighbors have enough that they will be able to see it through, and this sort of thing, in the spirit of giving and all those sorts of things, and you never answer the question. Just
that is almost exactly what I did.
Yeah, no, I being born and raised Jewish, and because my parents converted to Judaism, my parents made up, or my dad made up, some Jewish guy on a menorah spaceship who beams down presents or something like that.
Oh, the Hanukkah Harry story. That is a thing.
Yeah, it was a variation on that.
Yeah, but it's, to be perfectly honest, that's how my mom dealt with it too. My mom lied about everything, and so did my stepfather. So she's much better now. That was a protective thing she did. She reasoned, but it's one of the reasons I wouldn't allow anybody else to lie to my kid either. I actually,
so
yeah.
Now that my brain is on Judaism, there needs to be Reform Jewish lesbian polyamorous rabbis. I mean, they would all have. Not everyone in the polycule needs to be a rabbi. I'm just.
I know one.
Oh, I was too late with my knowledge.
I was too late with it too.
All this time living in Minnesota, being raised by Rabbi Offner, the first openly lesbian rabbi, in the U.S. And now to find out that polyamory was already a thing in rabbi communities, I didn't know about it. I feel like I should have known about it before you. It's not fair, Christy. You've stolen that from me.
I've been in queer spaces since the 70s.
I mean, fair.
Just because I didn't come out as trans more than once in the 80s, yeah. Oh, I was about to tell a very long story again. I've got to stop starting a story that's going to be very long and would take up.
Okay. So
did anybody catch that? I think it was Florida passed the law where they proposed a law. It's up for, I'm not sure it's signed into law yet, where they hit a hiccup because they were in their efforts to make it clear that they were codifying into law that marriage was one man and one woman. They'd managed to codify into law that all that was required was that they be male and female, and this allowed child brides.
Yeah, that's Tennessee. It did pass, and they did put an amendment on it, or amendments on it after it passed to recodify the 16 to 18 rule.
So they've managed to fix that little problem, but it's still a problematical law.
Yeah, no, they don't get me into. This has just been like a rough week for anti LGBTQ stuff. What with some people joking about killing trans kids.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least both Twitter and Facebook have cracked down on the groomer accusation.
Yeah, I think I can't think of names. That left-leaning show on the YouTubes. the famous one.
That's a very narrow group of people that I'm sure we can easily find.
Dylan Burns, Vosh, Xander Hall.
No, like the yeah, I'm not gonna remember it.
You gotta give a better category than left.
The one that people on Twitter don't hate, as far as I know.
Wow.
That's so many.
I thought that would narrow it down, okay?
I mean, it does, but like, you're like, it's the ocean, but it's not the one on the West Coast. Like, yeah, it's there, but...
No, not Beau of the Fifth Column. Darn
But
it.
we love us some Beau.
Although I do like Beau of the Fifth Column's content.
Yeah.
Whatever. It doesn't matter. It was
Okay.
stuff done by the Crowder community.
No, we're community.
Wait, I'm on Twitter and I hate everyone. That is technically the correct position to have on Twitter. The only thing you're allowed to like on Twitter are all the cute pet pics. or not pet pics, sorry,
yeah.
I should say animal pics. Just any
All the
animal
pics,
pic
that's it.
needs to be liked and shared everywhere. Everything else on Twitter, it's just awful.
You have to instantly hate.
Do I
Yeah,
get
you have to
canceled
instantly
if I-
hate. Unless
get
it's
canceled if
shipping
I
of
say I don't
characters in Arcane. Specifically Caitlyn and Vi, Jason, Victor, and well, I suppose the Lux and Jinx. Sorry, I went back to League of Legends. I'm sorry, everyone.
I mean, I just got hauled on to 4.7 level. That's the game I play, so.
Yeah. Well, I think
I
now is
I wasn't gonna explain what it was.
You know what? Now is a decent time to start wrapping up slowly. Slowly wrapping up. Very slowly.
Well, Santa Claus will wrap it for us.
Let's start with you, Perfict, since you're the quickest. Where can people find you?
Okay. Here. Oh.
And
Mostly here.
But
and,
also-
the Discord with the Rumpus Room.
there we go. R&D. Where can
And
people find
the
you?
Discord for
Oh
the
yeah,
show.
and the Fluid Voice Discord, which is
Yeah,
abandoned.
I
Please
mean-
love us. Please love us and join our Discord. Anyways,
if you ping me, I will come.
R&D, where can people find you?
Rhetoric and Discourse, just look that up on YouTube. You'll find videos. I rarely stream at this point, but maybe I'll get back to it. Otherwise, I'm always on Twitter, Rhet and Disc, on all the Twitters, and I'm usually there yelling at somebody or posting pics of my cats. So I try to balance it out.
Yeah, and I believe I have your links on this video, so hopefully you can.
Well, yeah, things haven't changed since the last time I've been here. So
Christy, where can people find you? Or sorry. There, I'm pointing the correct direction. There.
I have no idea. Well, I'm on Twitter at Christy Abbey. I think that's what my Twitter handle is now. I abandoned my old Twitter because too many. Yeah, it's Christy Abbey.
Yes, which I did link down below as well.
Oh, okay. And yeah, I abandoned my old Twitter, the Normality Quick, because just too many. I was getting dogpiled every time I turned around.
Because Twitter is toxic.
Yeah, and my phone just started doing noises. And Christy Abbey, the YouTube channel will be starting again on the 28th. 28th, Thursday the 28th, yes. And that'll be good. That's when I switch over to nerdy stuff. I don't think I'd be as good as Jesse is at combining nerdy stuff and trans issues yet. So I really just want to talk about something else. And you can find me in Buffalo, just ask around.
Okay.
Pretty easy to find.
So, may I go?
Yes.
Is there anything else? Okay. So you can find me outside of on this show, obviously. You can find me on my main YouTube channel where lately I've been doing regular hangouts on Monday at about 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific or whatnot. Which I might be a little late because I've got laser hair removal tomorrow, but like yeah, I've been doing hangouts and clips of fun little silly clips of me from my streams of League of Legends, and I'll probably start having more political content. In fact, I might talk about a video or something on my hangout coming up. I'm also on Instagram, where I occasionally talk about political reels. I'm on TikTok rarely, but I did do a TikTok video, which was another clip from me stream. Look, I stream League of Legends Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, 4 to 6 Eastern, 1 to 3 Pacific, and I clip those and put them on other places, as you do. And I believe on TikTok, the most recent thing is just a clip of me singing Fontaine's I Dreamed a Dream, but like with random League of Legends character related stuff and League of Legends game related stuff. But yeah, I'm just trying to make sure to be out there, and hopefully in one way or another I'll be able to get the news show that was on, although it will be there's a lot more discussion related to that before there's a final decision to be made with regards to that. But that the Rainbow Shelter news should be coming back in some way, shape, or form, but it will be somewhat different.
It'd have to be, wouldn't it?
And yeah, I hope everyone had a wonderful day, and your life matters, your voice matters, and you matter.
Yes!
I can do it! I can do it with sleep! I can actually do it!
Great job.
All right.
Okay. Have a good one. Bye!